Type MC, or metal-clad cable, can be embedded under stucco over concrete block. Metal-clad cable is a factory-assembled cable consisting of one or more insulated conductors enclosed in a metallic sheath of interlocking tape or corrugated tube. The National Electrical Code, or NEC, outlines the acceptable uses and installation requirements for metal-clad cable. When embedding metal-clad cable under stucco over concrete block, several factors must be considered. Firstly, ensure that the metal-clad cable is listed for direct burial or embedding in concrete. This listing indicates that the cable's construction is suitable for the corrosive environment of concrete and stucco. Secondly, verify that the installation complies with the NEC Article 330, which covers metal-clad cable. This article specifies the allowed uses, installation methods, and opacity requirements for metal-clad cable. Thirdly, consider the environmental conditions. Concrete and stucco can retain moisture, potentially leading to corrosion of the metal-clad cable if it is not properly protected. Using a corrosion-resistant metal-clad cable or providing additional protection, such as a waterproof coating, can mitigate this risk. Fourthly, ensure proper support and securement of the metal-clad cable. The NEC requires that cables be supported and secured at specific intervals to prevent strain on the conductors and terminations. Use appropriate straps, staples, or other listed means to support the cable along its run. Fifthly, pay attention to bending radii. Metal-clad cable has a minimum bending radius that must be observed to avoid damaging the conductors or the metallic sheath. Refer to the cable manufacturer's specifications for the correct bending radius. Sixthly, consider the depth of the embedment. Ensure that the metal-clad cable is buried deep enough to provide adequate protection from physical damage, such as from drilling or fasteners. The depth should comply with local building codes and the NEC requirements. Seventhly, be mindful of dissimilar metals. Avoid contact between the metal-clad cable and other dissimilar metals, such as aluminum, as this can lead to galvanic corrosion. Use compatible fittings and connectors to prevent this issue. Eighthly, properly terminate the metal-clad cable. Use listed connectors and fittings specifically designed for metal-clad cable to ensure a secure and reliable connection. Follow the manufacturer's instructions for proper termination procedures. Ninthly, consider the ampacity of the metal-clad cable. Ensure that the cable's ampacity is sufficient for the intended load. Refer to NEC Table 310.15b16 to determine the allowable ampacity based on the cable's conductor size, insulation type, and installation conditions. Tenthly, when running metal-clad cable through concrete block walls, use appropriate sleeves or bushings to protect the cable from abrasion. This is particularly important at points where the cable enters or exits the concrete block. The NEC provides specific requirements for protecting cables passing through masonry or concrete. 11thly, always consult with a qualified electrical inspector or engineer to ensure that the installation complies with all applicable codes and regulations. They can provide guidance on the specific requirements for embedding metal-clad cable under stucco over concrete block in your area. 12thly, ensure proper grounding of the metal-clad cable system. The metallic sheath of the metal-clad cable must be effectively grounded to provide a path for fault current in the event of a short circuit. Use listed grounding connectors and follow the NEC requirements for grounding. 13thly, document the installation of the metal-clad cable. Keep records of the cable type, size, location, and installation details for future reference and maintenance. This documentation can be helpful when troubleshooting or making future modifications to the electrical system. 14thly, consider future accessibility. While embedding the cable, plan for potential future access for maintenance or repairs. Avoid embedding the cable in areas that would be difficult to access without damaging the stucco or concrete block. 15thly, verify the voltage rating of the metal-clad cable. Ensure that the cable's voltage rating is suitable for the intended application. Use cables with a voltage rating that meets or exceeds the system voltage. 16thly, consider the temperature rating of the metal-clad cable. Ensure that the cable's temperature rating is appropriate for the ambient temperature in the installation location. Use cables with a temperature rating that meets or exceeds the maximum expected temperature. 17thly, when installing metal-clad cable in damp or wet locations, use cables that are specifically listed for wet locations. These cables have additional insulation and protection to prevent moisture from entering the cable. 18thly, use appropriate pulling compounds when pulling metal-clad cable through conduits or sleeves. These compounds can help reduce friction and prevent damage to the cable's insulation. 19thly, inspect the metal-clad cable before installation. Check for any signs of damage, such as cuts, abrasions, or kinks. Do not install damaged cable, as it may be unsafe. 20thly, avoid overbending or kinking the metal-clad cable during installation. This can damage the cable's conductors and metallic sheath. Use proper bending techniques and tools to ensure that the cable is not damaged. 21st, when cutting metal-clad cable, use a cable cutter specifically designed for this purpose. This will help prevent damage to the cable's conductors and metallic sheath. 22nd, deburr the cut ends of the metal-clad cable to remove any sharp edges that could damage the cable's insulation. Use a deburring tool or file to smooth the cut edges. 23rd, when installing metal-clad cable in areas subject to physical damage, provide additional protection, such as conduit or a metal guard. This will help prevent damage to the cable from impacts or abrasion. 24th, when installing metal-clad cable in areas where it may be exposed to chemicals or corrosive substances, use cables that are specifically listed for these environments. These cables have special insulation and jacketing materials that are resistant to chemical attack. 25th, avoid running metal-clad cable through areas where it may be exposed to excessive heat. This can damage the cable's insulation and reduce its lifespan. Use cables with a higher temperature rating in these areas. 26th, when installing metal-clad cable in fire-rated walls or ceilings, use fire-rated cables and follow the NEC requirements for fire stopping. This will help maintain the fire resistance of the wall or ceiling. 27th, consider the expansion and contraction of the metal-clad cable due to temperature changes. Provide expansion fittings or loops in long runs of cable to accommodate thermal movement. 28th, when installing metal-clad cable in underground applications, use cables that are specifically listed for direct burial. These cables have additional protection to prevent moisture from entering the cable. 29th, consider the electromagnetic interference, or EMI, characteristics of the metal-clad cable. Metal-clad cable can provide shielding from EMI, which can be important in sensitive electronic environments. 30th, use appropriate labeling to identify the circuits served by the metal-clad cable. This can help prevent confusion during future maintenance or troubleshooting. 31st, ensure that the metal-clad cable is properly supported when it transitions from a horizontal to vertical run, or vice versa. Use appropriate supports and fasteners to prevent strain on the cable. 32nd, when installing metal-clad cable in hazardous locations, use cables that are specifically listed for those environments. These cables have additional protection to prevent explosions or fires. 33rd, consider the weight of the metal-clad cable when designing the support system. Use supports that are capable of handling the weight of the cable, especially in long runs. 34th, when installing metal-clad cable in areas where it may be exposed to vibration, use cables that are designed to withstand vibration. These cables have special construction features that help prevent damage from vibration. 35th, consider the aesthetic appearance of the metal-clad cable installation. Use neat and professional wiring practices to create a visually appealing installation. 36th, when installing metal-clad cable in concealed locations, ensure that it is protected from physical damage during construction. Use temporary protection, such as wood or metal covers, to prevent damage. 37th, when installing metal-clad cable in existing buildings, be careful not to damage any existing wiring or plumbing. Use non-invasive installation techniques whenever possible. 38th, when installing metal-clad cable in close proximity to other utilities, such as gas pipes or water lines, maintain a safe distance. Follow the NEC requirements for clearances from other utilities. 39th, consider the future needs of the electrical system when designing the metal-clad cable installation. Provide spare capacity for future expansion or modifications. 40th, when installing metal-clad cable in areas where it may be subject to rodent damage, use cables that are resistant to rodent attack. These cables have special jacketing materials that deter rodents. 41st, always follow the manufacturer's instructions for the installation of metal-clad cable. These instructions provide specific guidance on the proper installation techniques and procedures. 42nd, remember that local codes and regulations may have specific requirements for the installation of metal-clad cable. Always check with the local authorities to ensure compliance.